Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today is March 6, 2018. I'm Roy Potter, and welcome to the live stream version of the Potter Expositor. Well, I thought I'd start off today. It looks like everything's up and running. Hopefully the sound will be just right. And, we always get these messages just as I start. Isn't that funny? Okay. And again, if you can let me know, I've turned off the chat, but let me know if somebody's got my number, they can call and see if the sound is okay. Yeah, I've turned off the chat because there's a lot of distraction in there, people wanting to use it for calling names to other people and just causing discord and disruption. And for the people that are serious about this, they don't need to go through that. So I will turn the chat on later because I'm not going to really say much today. I think I'll spend most of the time addressing what questions you have that I'm able to address. And I think that's a much better way to go today. So, yeah, I got the message that it's all right. Okay. So what I'm guessing is that the North Korea situation is becoming almost a theatrical situation, as is, and Tracy Beans will love to hear this, this whole thing with Mueller and Sam Nunberg, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, just so you know what's coming up. This country is an absolute embarrassment to the entire world. We are an embarrassment. We are. I was with a former federal agent yesterday, and we got into some information talking about some different things. And the thing that this agent told me is that as she was traveling around the world doing her job, she almost got to the point where she was embarrassed because of all the things that were happening here. And we had things that we disagreed on, of course. And again, we didn't resort to name calling to address those issues because that dynamic is important. Americans are supposed to be able to have this discourse. That's how you find out what's real and what isn't, what's true, what's false, etc. But she agreed with me on this, and that is that America should be the country that is not out to force its empire upon the world, because it's not a very good one, as it turns out now. The original system, yes, but unless this thing gets restored to the place it's supposed to be right now, it's nothing more than, well, what she said is that it should set the example to the world rather than trying to force itself on it. And that's exactly how I've approached it for a number of years. It's exactly how I look at it. If what we have is so great, we shouldn't have to use our monetary, banking, military, industrial, intelligence, security, propaganda complex to take over the world. They'll want to come to us, which used to be the case. So I bring that up because it's refreshing, because like with Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer, who I'm sure feels the same way I do, and this agent, it's nice to know that there are those types of Americans out there. It gives you a little hope. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, and I've said this before, and I have to say it again, Americans, I'm afraid, are going back to sleep. I really fear that. The few that are on Twitter active, like like we are here on YouTube. They're there, but the run-of-the-mill people that I run into and talk to, they're normally just biased. They really don't. They might have an opinion, but it's not based on a sound understanding of the issues. And I don't mean a sound understanding that has to agree with me. I just mean they can't articulate their position. They're mimicking what they're hearing, mainly, of course, from the mainstream media or some personality that they latch on to. So in that regard, because I don't want anybody to latch on to my personality, if I violate principle, you need to let me know, but I don't want name calling, you know. I don't want issues brought up that have nothing to do with the subject matter. And people say, well, it does because, you're such and such and such and such. Well, I could do that to you if you put yourself out there the same way, okay? So stay with the issues, and I think we can get some things accomplished. At least I hope so. You all know that I went to see Major Steve Motley on Monday, and that went very well. I've already explained some of that. He put up a couple of videos, and I even heard from him on a live video email last night. And I thought that was really... I haven't done that. I'm going to have to look into doing that. My internet service isn't quite up to it, I don't think, but at any rate, that was really good, and he gave me some information, and again, it was just, every time I have contact with him, it's a great thing. So I wanted to show you what he had. I mentioned it on my live stream that I did last night, just real quick. I'm going to put this up to the camera. This is his, I hope you can see that. I know the resolution that I'm broadcasting in is not very good, but I have to do that because of the low quality of my internet connection. That's a really good site to go to. It's here'syourredpill.com. I'll hold that up there a minute so you can see it, copy it down. That's Major Steve Motley's, one of his websites. This is the one that lists all the different people that you can go to for information. And I like promoting, obviously, like I have others, Jordan Sather, Tracy Bean, Scott Anthony, etc., etc. I like promoting other people's work, because we're really in this together. It's not something I'm jealous about. I'm happy that people are out here doing this, and the more of us that are, the better. We need mass. It's a principle of war. We need mass. We need a lot of people doing this. They're shutting down a lot of people. Most of you probably know that Mike Adams of Natural News has been shut down. They keep playing with a lot of us. They say that it's a big mistake that there were newbies on YouTube. That's really people that apparently that the Southern Poverty Law Center hired to do this. I saw some pictures of these. Man, they might be able to mess with computer programs, but I don't think they've done anything in real life. Everything's been in front of a screen. But apparently the Southern Poverty Law Center is providing the personnel for this, and that's apparently the evidence at this point. And I don't think that surprises anybody. But the fact of the matter is, in the book of Revelations, it talks about the merchants of Babylon, and that it would all be about controlling us for selling and buying. Really, that's the bottom line, right? And we're seeing that now in an unprecedented way. FBI director, former ex-FBI director James Comey, he said that not even your thoughts are yours, that they can be probed. He actually said that, and I mentioned that a few times, trying to show the power of the state. And so, really, though, the power of the state is being, the engine of that power is now corporations, international corporations that are laws unto themselves. And that was the whole purpose of the New World Order, the TPP, all of that. They really run the show. And it's interesting because that's never really happened before in history. There's been influence like I mentioned the Black Venetians. And no, that's not racial. It's talking about, what they did, how they were really evil in what they did and how they took over things and that. They were merchants, the Merchant of Venice, the Shakespearean play, which is talking about that time period. And that was very near to the situation we're seeing today, but that was kind of an isolated deal. There have always been very rich men who have tried to control governments, but it's really at this point in time that it's the other way around, and on a large scale. And just like when you go to work for a company and you sign agreements to do certain things because you're working for the company, that's how our republic has been sabotaged, because now those corporate requirements are being forced onto us through the government, which is, the government should be protecting us from those things, but it's not. It's collaborating. We've heard that term a lot lately, colluding with the corporations. We are fascist at this point, and that's not good. I think Trump is trying to break that away, but of course I'm still keeping my eyes open because, you know, I as I've said several times, corruption, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So I'm wary of anybody in power. I don't care who they are. But at any rate, we'll talk about some more of that later. The point is that this entire thing to shut down free speech, to attack the First Amendment, is being done in a fascist manner. And the question is, of course, where is Jeff Sessions? I saw Tony Schaefer this morning, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer. Actually, it was yesterday. I saw it on his Twitter feed today. He was saying, gee, if Hillary Clinton was smoking marijuana, Jeff Sessions couldn't go after her fast enough. He always has a way of putting things, you know. He's absolutely 100% right, but it's the way he says it that I find, you know, extremely poignant and direct in a roundabout way. That's true. Jeff Sessions might be doing all these things off the side, and we're going to talk again about the 17,000 indictments, sealed indictments, which, well, I'll say this much about it at this point. Scott Anthony even pointed out there's no way the system can handle 17,000 indictments. There's just no way, unless there is another format that they can use, but it's a form of the martial law deal, and I'm not talking about what Trump might be getting ready to do, but separate from that. There really is this war in the government, and I'm really worried because Trump doesn't need to arrest 17,000 people to stop this. He doesn't need to do that. But it would appear to me that on the other side of the issue, the leftist Marxist side, because it goes along with the Weather Underground and Bill Ayers and all that, which I'm not sure who to call him, even today, Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama, yeah, I don't know what his name is. That thanks to the CIA. Of course, that was what that was all about. But, you know, their idea is that you arrest people, put them in re-education camps, and those that you can't turn, you eliminate. Well, this 17,000 indictment thing sounds more like something like that to me than Trump getting ready to go after people. I don't think he needs to go after that many to make this thing work. Plus, as I said before, the military tribunal system is a little bit different. I don't think there can be a crossover. No lawyers or attorneys have gotten with me to explain to me if that can happen, but I don't think so. They could use the indictments, I suppose. Even there, I'm not sure what the process would be to turn it over to the military tribunals to examine, but I think we're seeing two different things happening here. I don't think it's the same thing. So we'll talk about that some more again later. Let me give you one more thing about Steve Motley here. This is another website of his, if you can see it. It says retiredmarinesoundsoff.com. Hopefully you can see that. retiredmarinesoundsoff.com. He has some really nice business cards. You ought to see mine. Mine's pretty bland, actually, you know. But, you know, I guess they serve the function. But this is classy. So thanks, Steve, for that. And along that same note, Steve asked me in this live video email last night if I would go on his show tomorrow, Wednesday at noon Mountain Time. And I've agreed to do that. But I don't have the, I don't know where it is. I can't tell you. He hasn't gotten back with me yet. Where you see that on his, whether it's a podcast or, you know, a live stream on YouTube, I'm not sure. I don't think it's a live stream on YouTube because he was telling me he didn't have that. So apparently it's a podcast of some type, and it might be on this retiredmarinesoundsoff.com. I'm not sure. But if I get that information today, I'll try to get it out to you. He's a very busy guy. He acts like he isn't, but he really is. So I'm sure he'll let me know here shortly. Okay, I think that's all the administrative stuff. So let's get into some of the things that are happening. Let's get to North Korea, because I got information from several military sources. They didn't violate any, requirements to be quiet about confidential, secret, top secret information. They didn't divulge anything that would go against or put them in jeopardy of revealing classified information. But it's about the fact that they're getting ready. And this is coming from 3 different places, all verified, all people that have, first of all, I know one of them personally, and the others through Twitter, who I have also vetted and know of them. I haven't met them in person, but they are giving me this information that, yes, something is going on. They were told to be ready to go. Practicing on ranges with weapons systems unlike they usually do. Let's put it that way, out of the ordinary qualification type requirements. Training, that type of thing. It's kind of like getting ready for deployment activity is what it is. We saw these several things happen a week ago. I think it was a week ago. Actually, it was almost 2 weeks ago, I guess. No, it was a week ago. Scott Anthony was reporting a lot of activity, alert aircraft on the East Coast, and of course we also found out that there were alert aircraft on the West Coast as well. So that might be in response to, I've heard it's Russian subs, but I'm still doubting that there's a real problem between Trump and Putin. The military-industrial complex is pushing for all this. Certainly Clinton is pushing for it. She wants massive destruction and death. That's her modus operandi. That's how she works. That's what she worships, or uses to worship, put it that way, and her type. So at any rate, all of these things are happening, and North Korea apparently today, or late yesterday, depending upon the time zone, South Korea said that North Korea is ready to talk as long as the regime is protected. Now, we know that North Korea is a fantasy land, is a controlled state of the CIA. I think that's, for anybody that's looked into it now and has studied it, realizes that that's what that is. And who's tied to the CIA? Here we go again. What did I say about the social media? The social media is controlled by the CIA. Your YouTube, your Twitter, your Google, your Facebook, all of those were instigated by the CIA through these different corporations. Now, does that make the CIA, is this the government then controlling corporations? Well, it's not our government. The CIA is a separate, its entire IC answers to nobody. And if you don't see that now, you're not looking, right? That's really the issue here. Senator Inouye in the 70s during the CIA investigation hearings, the church hearings, explained that they even have their own military, and they still do. So what I'm saying is that I really can't pinpoint exactly what's happening at this time, because the games of deceit have become so intertwined that I can't honestly unravel them, and that's the way it works. I mean, I'd be less than honest with you if I said otherwise. But even if North Korea is saying that they will stand down on their nukes, that doesn't mean that there isn't going to be trouble very soon. If a war does break out, and it really depends on if the CIA feels threatened enough by what Trump is doing, and Hillary and those people, Barack Obama, and the Silicon Valley CEOs like Eric Schmidt, who of course went to North Korea. They're intimately tied to North Korea because that's one of their escape areas. That's one of their ways they want to control the world, is through North Korea. A front for the intelligence agencies which run the social media of Google, like Eric Schmidt ran Google, YouTube, Twitter. You see the connection there? Am I making myself clear? So I'm not exactly sure what's happening. I'd like to say Trump is winning, but I don't know. Why do I say that? Well, because I haven't seen action on the ground. He's got the. I sent out the other day on Twitter, and I think I mentioned it here, that Betsy and Thomas of American Intelligence Media did a very good explanation on the March 1st executive order upgrade of the UCMJ. And I made the point that these things happen on a pretty much scheduled basis, regular basis, these clarifications, especially in the UCMJ, and they cover that really well. So it doesn't necessarily mean something is imminent as far as Trump acting, but it's certainly a possibility. I would put it that way. And I think that's kind of how Thomas looked at it. So you can go look at that. It's the one that says something about puppies, I think is the one. And then there's one, the follow-up to that explains it a little bit more. So I can't really say definitively what's happening in North Korea, but something big is getting ready to occur somewhere. And a lot of these nations are very nervous right now. And you can link it all back to what I've said all along, that the deep state, the New World Order, the powers that be would just as soon destroy everything as to lose power. So I recognize that Trump is in a very delicate situation. He's walking a tightrope, tight wire, and timing is everything. But I also realize that if he loses the initiative, we won't get it back. Okay? We won't. Not this time. So I'm hoping, and I've been hearing rumors, a lot of you have been putting it up on Twitter and elsewhere, that there is apparently a move that this whole thing on finally arresting these traitors in government may happen starting next weekend. I can't verify that separately. I can't. I wish I could. That would be nice. But again, I'll have to see it. I'm from Missouri. I'm going to have to see it to believe it. I hope it's true. We'll talk about that again in a minute because it ties in with what happened at Parkland and LV and this next subject. This whole thing with Mueller and Sam Nunberg. If you remember, Sam Nunberg at first said, no, I'm not going to allow Mueller to talk to me. I'm not going to obey the subpoena. But he also said that he thinks that Mueller already has something on Trump, criminal or something, this collusion with the Russians nonsense. So I said back when everybody was saying that, Mueller's finally absolved Trump of any Russian collusion. I said, no, wait a minute. CBS even came out that same day and said that this was just the infant stages of the Russian investigation. So a lot of people in the alt media jumped on this thing when Mueller indicted the Russians. And what good does that do? That's really ridiculous. That indicates that there was no Russian collusion. I said, no, wait a second. That's not what this is about. They're going to keep going down this road. Now, Tracy Beans, who I respect entirely, she's one of the best investigative reporters I've ever known. And I've said that, and I will continue to say it. But here we are. We're at a disagreement point again. And I don't need to call her names. I have respect for her. I would never call her names, as a matter of fact. Actually, quite the opposite. She could get away with calling me names and probably be justified. But at any rate, she is still maintaining that Jeff Sessions and Robert Mueller are still working for and in behalf of Trump, and that this is all a big drama. Well, at first I thought months ago that could be a possibility, and then due to the circumstances as they progressed, I've kind of decided that cannot possibly be the case. However, then there's this crazy Sam Nunberg. Talk about a drama. This is ridiculous. What's going on here? Because now he says he's going to agree to the terms of the subpoena, and he's going to submit to Mueller. Here's this dance going back and forth, and it's totally confusing. And again, I don't know what to make of it. I would like to just say, Tracy Beans, you're totally right. They're actually behind all of this. But Mueller is a corrupt individual. He is responsible for covering up the deaths of thousands of people at 9/11, covering up, and it's come out again, the FBI forensics laboratory, allowing that to go rogue and falsifying information in court, which hopefully all those cases come back up. And this came out many years ago, but he certainly went along with it. Didn't do anything to stop it, because numbers are everything. They'll create a crime, a scenario, and then get some poor gullible mental person involved so that they can say they found the criminal. They're really an evil organization at this point, and they need to be dissolved. And even people as high as Anthony Schaefer are saying that, Lieutenant Colonel Schaefer, that the FBI has long outlived its usefulness. It's actually become a criminal organization, and we're all seeing that. But at any rate, so what am I saying with Mueller and Sam Nunberg? How does this affect this whole thing with Trump? Well, first of all, it's not illegal. If it was illegal to have anything to do with the Russians, why aren't they going after Hillary Clinton, John Podesta, et cetera, et cetera? Because they lost the election, and they're the underdog, and that's it. Well, that's not even prosecutorial discretion. That's aiding and abetting. That's an accessory after the fact. So I don't buy that. So they lost, right? So that's the reason why they're not being investigated. Well, at any rate, so is this in fact the last dying breaths of Mueller? And why is Sam Nunberg saying nasty things about Trump? I mean, even if I was an opponent of Trump, even if I didn't like him, he's the duly elected president of the United States. He's been doing a great job by and large. He's been inhibited by the senior executive service and those people as far as, getting the clearances done for his folks and just impeding any changes in the administration, in the executive agencies. Jeff Sessions seems to me to be full of molasses. My Republican insider, as I said, he says that Jeff Sessions isn't really trying to do the wrong thing. He just can't do the right thing. He can't move fast enough, and that's where Trump's having a problem with him. That could be. I take it a step further. I think Sessions was always on the wrong side. I think they have something on him. And then, of course, you have all the congressmen and senators who should be there supporting Trump. There should be, a group of 5 or 10 high-profile senators, Republicans, and probably 10 times that number of congressmen, Republicans, who should come and say, we're calling for an end to this disgusting effort to overthrow the duly elected president of the United States. Because even if there was this collusion with Russia, at least to get information on Hillary, that's not illegal. Hillary was doing it herself with the Russian dossier, right? All of that, which was made up. It wasn't even real. I mean, that's even worse. I mean, if you're going out and getting real information about your opponent, that's one thing. But making stuff up and then having it come back into the intelligence community as intelligence product, oh my gosh, talk about fruit of the poisonous tree. So I'm really kind of on the fence right now about what's going on, because I do see a drama happening, especially with this latest thing with Nunberg. That's beyond the pale. But again, I don't think Mueller's a good guy. Sessions probably on the fence, but I think he's leaning to the black side. That's kind of how I look at it. So overall, there's some type of a deception game being played here. I can't break it down for you at this point. But I'm not going to say Tracy Beans has it right either. That would be too easy. It would be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we need this. We need 5 or 10 good high-ranking Republican senators, and we need 5 or 10 times that number of Republican congressmen to call an end to this entire wasteful witch hunt that's going on, because it just needs to stop. And Trump, he might be acting behind the scenes on these issues, with something else. But as I said the other day, we need to see some fruits of that. All of the innuendo, all the hints, you guys are privy to information nobody else knows about. All of those little things to feed our ego that we think we know what's happening because we're finding out, from whatever source, even the way I do it. I have to be very cautious. And I'm still not seeing the evidence on the ground. Now, if something happens this next week to 2 weeks, and we start seeing some of these people being taken down, I'll certainly make a sigh of relief, and we'll push on for that. But we've got to see it, folks. We just have to see it. So I didn't really give you any information there that you can sink your teeth into. We're being played on all sides. They're deliberately confusing us. Both sides are. But don't think for a minute that the two sides, whether the Trump supporters, in the government, the constitutional republic supporters, and those of the deep state who are Marxist leftists who want to destroy the Constitution and to place us into a fascist system and purge the conservative Christian base. And Christians are the enemy, absolutely. You can see it in the media every day, in the school system, everything, worldwide. So they're playing the same game, and that's good in one sense, but it's bad in another, because if you play the devil's game, you usually lose. It's better to be upfront and truthful in this situation. I recognize it's a war, and deception is part of the art of war, but don't think that just because they're protecting the public or they're afraid to disturb the public, which I'm not certain that's really true. Don't think that those two sides don't know exactly what the other is doing. To think that what Trump is doing is fooling the deep state and his opposition, the traitors in our government, to think that he's fooling them is naive. That's not happening in any way, shape, or form. And vice versa. Okay? It just isn't happening. So this is going to get bad in one way or another pretty soon. And maybe in the next 2 weeks we'll see something happen. We knew that March would be definitive for a number of reasons. A lot of people have talked about the Illuminati number 311. Yes. We've also talked about the problem with the release of the possible bioweapons that may occur, the missing CDC doctor. All of these things are starting to line up. The situation with North Korea, which looks promising at this point, but may in fact turn bad overnight. You just don't know how these people who are being cornered are going to react. And then, of course, this entire nonsense thing with Mueller, who I realize that Trump can't fire him, but somebody needs to investigate that a-hole. They really do. I don't care if he is working for Trump. This guy is dirty, and everybody who's honest knows about it. Clapper, Hayden, Brennan, all those guys need to go down, all of them. And it can't happen too soon. So I hope that something does happen in the next few days. But talking with some of the folks, Baruch, for instance, his inside information is that he doesn't expect anything to happen until summer, maybe even towards later in the year, for a number of reasons. I don't think we can wait that long. I really don't. And so I'm also going to ask here that and I hope you all do too, that President Trump, I understand we can't rush his planning, but I'm hoping that he's not reticent or failing to act for other reasons. He needs to go forward. If nothing else, I'd come out and I would definitely tell the American people what's going on. Because again, you're not going to fool the deep state. You're just not. Are we going to help the American people through this transition? If we're still here. And that's the danger right now. Waiting too long and it could endanger everyone. And so this brings us also to the whole Second Amendment problem that we've seen. And that's still very, very much concerning. Because that was a major issue on Trump's platform. And to even appear to be backing off on that should alarm everyone. It's certainly alarmed, well, it's alarmed a lot of people. I won't name any names here. Most of you should know who they are. Well, I'll say one. Laura Ingraham, of course, said if he turns his back on the Second Amendment, he has no chance for re-election in 2020. That's Laura Ingraham saying that. Some of you will say, well, so what? A lot of people are feeling that way. So Trump needs to remember that playing this game of deception can't go that far. He has to be able to communicate to the American people where he stands exactly, okay? And his failure to do that with some idea that he's fooling the other side is, again, naivete, okay? He's not fooling the other side. And frankly, when I saw Dianne Feinstein do her little, Wicked Witch of the West, thing, no, she's. I don't believe that she's being fooled. She's been around too long. So we need to keep our guard up, is what I'm saying, and that's really what the purpose of this video is here today, is to say, don't rest on your laurels. Certainly don't believe everything you see or hear. You need to be wise as serpents, harmless as doves, and know that the opposition to the perfect law of liberty and the constitutional republic of the United States of America isn't averse to, but in fact may be inclined to harm many, many people in this country and around the world as a mass sacrifice to their God. Okay? All right. Let's open up the chat. Sorry, it takes me a minute to get it going here. All right, it'll take about 15 or 20 seconds, and then you should all start seeing it there. And I'll try to answer some questions. I won't keep you long today. Let me say again that Steve Motley is going to have me on his program tomorrow. I see the stream is starting to have a little difficulty. Why would that surprise me? Okay, there we are. So good morning, everybody. I see Straight Arrow 62, Sacramento, Lenny. Scott, hey, Scott Anthony's here. How you doing, Scott? Gee, I think this is the first time I've actually seen you when you come on the chat. Normally, I miss you. And then I'd go back and I'll see Colonel, with the big exclamation marks and all that. And sorry I missed those. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Let me just check and see here. No, it doesn't look like he's gotten back to me yet. So, again, I'll probably have to tell you when that broadcast, whether it's a podcast or whatever, on Steve Motley's forum is tomorrow. Again, it's Wednesday, tomorrow at noon. But I'm not sure where or how. I'm going to be calling into his show. At least that's the way I understood it at the time. So let me see what we've got here. I'm sure Scott's on. He must have something good, so I'm going to keep an eye on him. I don't mean to ignore everybody else, but let me just make sure that if he brings something up that I don't fail to cover it, because he's always on top of everything. He and Tracy Beans are the finest investigative reporters that I know. They're really something. Okay, can Trump invoke national martial law? Yeah, Frank Hodges. Yes, I recognize you, Frank. Thanks for all your support. You're very kind to me, and you've stuck up for me several times, and I appreciate that. Yes, he can, and I think that's what everybody's talking about that needs to happen. There are dangers involved in that, and the last thing I ever wanted was for the military to get involved in fixing our country. But considering how the leftist Marxists have totally infiltrated the structure of our nation from top to bottom, from the very highest office, Barack Obama, all the way down to your water meter readers. Wow, I mean, this is serious. This is a clear and present danger. This isn't about differences in political ideology that we solve in elections, which still are supposed to be subject to the Constitution. Acts of Congress aren't even supposed to they're absolutely not to supersede the Constitution of the United States, but it's been going on forever, because when criminals get together and agree to do criminal acts, who's going to prosecute them when they're at this high end of the government? So I don't see any other way around it without the military. Honestly, I just don't. But that can go bad too. Look, I mean, you have military juntas all the time in South America, and then they never let go of power. They appear to, but they put up their own stooges, and things like that. So, yes, I see no way around it. That is the only way I can see it getting done at this point. Sessions has failed to clean out the DOJ. As a matter of fact, and I'll say it again, which is why I distrust Sessions. Little old me, having had that information and that contact with the Bundy Ranch deal, knowing that the DOJ, the U.S. Attorney there, the FBI, and the BLM not only tried to manufacture a situation, with false evidence, but denied the defense access to exculpatory evidence of the defendants, which is a crime. Nobody has hung for that. And in fact, Sessions went down there, this was like, I don't know, last summer or maybe in the fall, and he said that Steve Myrie, the U.S. Attorney, was doing a good job. What? Sessions should have fired him on the spot and then had the case dismissed. No, he didn't do that. Now, something did happen behind the scenes, but I don't think they wanted it to go that way. It was because the BLM special agent blew the whistle. And if he hadn't done that, I'm not so sure that Gloria Navarro? Anyway, the judge, Navarro, in the case, would have held the DOJ responsible for that. She did it, I think, somewhat, with some reticence, but she was in between a rock and a hard place, because it was obvious that this criminal act, this violation of basic justice had occurred. So maybe somebody up the line in the court system said, "Hey, you have no choice. You've got to dismiss this with prejudice." Okay, let me see if there's anything here. The event will happen this month. A lot of people are talking about the event, and of course that's a reset of the financial system. The fixing of all this bad stuff. I would hope so. We're getting real close to Passover. No, I'm not Jewish. All right. But I saw a program the other day where they were talking about these the pagans, the New World Order, and all these people that they worship the equinox and the summer solstice and the winter solstice and all that. Well, the fact of the matter is, folks, the ancient Israelites were very close in their times of that too. It was usually a little off due to the position of the sun or the moon, but really it's the same thing. Passover is pretty much close to the vernal equinox, and Yom Kippur is very close to the autumnal equinox. Okay, so sometimes these things do cross over, and it doesn't necessarily mean something's evil. But at any rate, biblically, I do understand that something significant is supposed to happen either at the Passover time frame, and you've got a window there, a pretty substantial window, and also at the autumnal equinox in Yom Kippur in September. We'll see. I hope something does happen this month. We really need to see something concrete happen to change the course of our nation, because we're really running out of time. Now, somebody's saying your Sessions can't talk for about another year. It takes... No, I disagree with that. You don't need to go... Look, I'm not talking about going after 17,000 people. They need to pick one or two people, and they have more than enough information to go on that right now. They don't need any more time to investigate this. They could pick two people, say John Podesta. I realize they don't want to go after Hillary. Okay, John Podesta. Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Comey. They've got enough information to do it now on 2 or 3, 4, half a dozen select individuals. No, we don't need another 2 years. I disagree with that. And I was speaking about that from experience. No, that's not true. They're waffling. They're postponing. They're clogging the system. They're slowing it down. And there's only one reason why they do that. So no, I disagree. Somebody said they owe me an apology, but I can't. Sorry, it went past me. I couldn't see it. I don't get those usually. It's pretty funny. Oakland mayor. Oh my gosh. Yeah, isn't that a travesty? She should be arrested right now. Yeah, but they'd go arrest the Bundys for resisting the BLM, which was acting unconstitutionally, but they won't arrest a mayor who is acting unconstitutionally. See how screwed up this is, and we want to wait another 2 years for Sessions? No. We don't have that much time. We just don't. I don't mean to lose it, but that's... Okay, no. Keith Godwin. Potter wanting decades and decades of corruption to be fixed in 1 year. No, I know that can't happen. But definitive action has to be taken. Okay, I'm not saying that the whole system can be fixed overnight. No, but I'm going to tell you something, Godwin. If it's not done quickly, you won't have anything to fix. That's how it's going to go. You can't sit here and say that we have this kind of time. We don't. We don't have it. And everybody who knows anything knows that. No, you're wrong. You're absolutely 100% wrong. Chill out, Roy, give yourself a stroke. Well, when I was in the military, and I've told this story before, military police duty officer comes in, and he basically has the authority of the commanding general. So everybody does exactly what he says, right? You don't have to use cuss words or anything. But when I went on the police department, I couldn't get those dumb blankety blank, criminals to think I was serious unless I used 4-letter words on them. So that's when I started cussing. So there are times when you have to be passionate because people don't get it. Well, have you ever watched a football game? You think the coach sitting on the sideline should chill out when his players aren't conducting themselves according to his directions? Have you ever watched one of those coaches? I mean, they'll be flailing their arms, they'll be throwing things, they'll be cussing, they'll be covering their mouth and yelling and screaming. Come on. I think if I didn't get like this, it would prove I'm fake. Because I'm very much like this. I am very passionate. I could tell you some stories about that. The women know, I'll tell you. They know. Okay? They know. All right. Let me see what they... Patience is always your downfall that gets you into trouble throughout your life. Well, you have to know that things take a certain procedure. That's not the same thing as procrastination, okay? Patience and procrastination are not the same thing. We are seeing procrastination. We are seeing muddling up the system. We are seeing the senior executive service doing everything they can to slow the process down. So you may not be able to get them, but you can do other things. And Sessions is failing in that regard. Maybe they're going to go get everybody next week. I'll eat my words, okay? But I got to see it. But I don't think Sessions is going to be the one to do it. I think it's going to be the military tribunals because Sessions has refused to act. Okay, let me see here. I want to get some good answers. Buying time for the Mueller coup. A very good point. Yes, all of this stalling does nothing more than buy time for the coup. Absolutely, that's exactly right. Exactly right. Okay. Yeah, I don't see anything else from Scott Anthony here. That's really kind of I wanted to get. Let me see if anybody else has any pertinent information about any of the subject matter we just touched on today. Don't think I have 100% trust in the DOD and the military. I don't. I know you can't have it. But under the proper direction of President Trump and Mattis, and Dunford for that point, it can be controlled, I think. I think it can be controlled. There are some dangerous probabilities in there, possibilities, but I think it's possible that we can do it that way. Arrests will happen in unison. Don't bet on that. Okay, don't bet on that. They're worried about flipping the switch for the public. Well, if they aren't successful in doing this, the public's going to get flipped the switch anyway, and it's going to be even worse. So they need to stop playing this game of coddling the public. What about the military parade? You know, anybody that's watched me for any length of time knows that I consider to be the military an evil necessity. I don't glorify it. I don't put it up on a pedestal to be worshipped. I appreciate the sacrifices of those who truly have fought for our protection, our defense, and freedom. But Cicero had it right, and I don't think I have his quote here. No, I'm sure I don't. But it basically is that courage that's done for the wrong reason is not courage. It's actually a form of cowardice. And what we've done around the world is not something that I support. Am I against the troops? No. But again, courage for the wrong reason is really not courage. So I have a problem with the parade. I do. Because it's going to be militaristic in the sense that I'm not saying that we shouldn't be proud of what the military is supposed to stand for, but we haven't stood for that for a long time, and I'm going to piss off a lot of people saying that. But it's true, and if you're honest with yourself, you'll understand that. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm just not all that thrilled about it. We'll talk about it again later. Okay, that's a good point. Once somebody just said that the military parade might be a part of this entire operation that's coming down. Okay, that could be. I can see that. Good insight. Good insight. Thank you. Yeah, that's true. Ron, you say, hi Roy, a lot of young people on here don't understand the military. You are military, which has formed your thought process. Exactly. You know, a lot of the people who are growing up now look at the military as those video games, you know. And I've seen these video games, and even in there, you can't tell who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. It's just assumed that you're always the good guy, right? It ain't so. It ain't so. And so, yeah, I have a more expansive worldview of what any military is used for, but especially ours. And we've forgotten the lesson of the Vietnam War. We have forgotten that lesson with this glorifying of the military and the military-industrial complex. I realize they're not the same thing, but the military is the arm, right, of the New World Order. If you understand the three parts of the New World Order, I don't know if people here know that. Okay, you have London, the financial center. You have the Vatican, which is the religious center, which is now becoming, they're bringing in Islam because it's a very controlled type religion. And you have the military arm, which is D.C. You see that? Trump needs to, and I think he's trying. I think Trump is trying to withdraw from that system. And if we get our military back totally under our control and abide the constitutional use of the military, and really be a Department of Defense. You know, back before, I think it was about 1948 or 49 somewhere, prior to that it was called the War Department. At least they were honest about it. Now everybody has a Department of Defense, and yet we're more militaristic, more imperialistic, more aggressive, we exhibit more aggression than we ever have. I saw the I forget who put it up. I think it was Mike Cernovich. He put up the head cam footage of the Special Forces guys in Niger who were ambushed, and they were all killed. What were we doing there? Jack Posobiec asked, what were we doing there? Yeah, what were we doing there? Countering China? Looking for Islamic terrorists? Like that? And Cernovich made the point, you know, this is why our military can't be politically correct. We can't afford a military that's politically correct. And I won't take it any further than that, but that's very true on a number of levels. You know, somebody's asking about Q here. Boy, you know what? That has raised more ire against me than even my former lifestyle. You know? It's really incredible. And I warned that the Q thing would become a cult. And it has. All right, I know some inside information on that now, okay? I do. And I'm still not following Q. I'll just say that. If you all want to follow Q, there's still some good information there. It's good subject matter to talk about, you know, and that. But no, I'm not following it, and I won't. I can't help but see it because it's everywhere, which is a good thing in some regards. You know, it has wakened people up and all that. But I pretty much withdrew from it, as most of you know, after the first of the year, because I found too many anomalies. I'll just say it that way. That's what I see. And then some specific things happened where I absolutely know with a positive fact that Trump is not behind what's going on right now. I'm sorry, he just isn't. Okay? He wouldn't resort to the type of actions that Q and the people associated with that have gone to now. He just wouldn't. So I'm not buying it. Okay, I get my information elsewhere. Every once in a while, I'll admit, the things that Q brings up, because people send me this stuff and it'll correlate pretty closely with what I'm finding out in other sources. But it's certainly not exclusive information from Q. It just isn't. And I can't belong to a cult. You know, I've escaped at least 2 of them in my lifetime. Well, maybe 3. You know, and I know how a cult works. I recognize that it had all of the characteristics of a cult as early as probably Thanksgiving, November of last year. And I saw the possibility, and I was wary of it. And then as soon as it became a thing where if you question Q, you were a blasphemer, or you were a deep stater, or you were, you know, a traitor or whatever, I said it's time to get out. And everything that's happened subsequent to that has substantiated my viewpoint on that. So I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, he's done some good, but people need to demand action. Yeah, exactly. You know, we sit back and we think, oh, well, it's all being taken care of. We don't need to do anything. No, folks, that's not the way it is. Prep, pray, stay out of the way, but you got to do something. Yeah. Scott Anthony, somebody agreeing with somebody here. Yeah, I missed it again because I talk too much. Yeah, and there's an asteroid out there, but you know they always throw that out. Next thing is going to be an invasion from you know, the real aliens, you know, the intergalactic aliens. And I think that's all going to be staged. I don't believe that's going to be true, or they're going to be demons. You know, I don't feel good about this one. I don't feel good about it at all. Just the situation with 9/11. You know, Project Bluebeam. Pam Jones. Hi, Pam. How you doing? Hey, Pam. Man, I'm glad to see you. Hope you're feeling better. At any rate, Bluebeam is a problem, and the more I look at the 9/11 footage of the planes hitting the building, I'm beginning to think those weren't real airplanes. And actually, I've thought about that for a long time, but airplanes don't cut into a steel building like knife through butter. They disintegrate on that steel. They're just aluminum. Airplanes are aluminum with a little steel in the engines. I think maybe that was an entirely different situation than we thought. Let's see. Scott Anthony. Robert, yep, he definitely overinvested in the Q saga. I'm not sure who you're talking about there, but hey, Scott. Sorry I keep missing your comments. Scott just said something about somebody overinvested in the Q phenomena, and yeah, that's how I would look at it. I think we have all overinvested in it. It was very useful up through Dr. Corsi is who you're talking about, yeah. And I have a lot of respect for Dr. Corsi. I mean, he even cried one day because of some things that seem to be coinciding. And I have a lot. How's the tooth? Oh, spirit of truth. I have to go back in a week. I'll have to go back in on Monday. I'm going to lose 4 of them. So that's why I say I'm not going to be up and about, doing live streams for a week or two, or anything for a week or two. So it's not that I've disappeared. Not in the sense that, I had to. It's the sense that, I don't want someone to go. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah. Hey, could we get a few hangings for morale's sake? Hey, here. I'll go along with that. Here. Okay. All right. Well, jeepers, how long have we been going? We've been going for an hour. Yeah, and I don't know. A lot of people are making some. Scott Anthony, lots of laugh, Pinson. I must be missing a lot of what's going on between Scott and you guys. I'm glad you're having your discussion on the chat room. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And Scott has offered to be kind of a moderator, where he'll tell me which questions I should really address, and we might do that someday. That could be coming up. Okay. MAGA. I still go on with that. Yeah, MAGA. Absolutely, MAGA. More important than MAGA, though, is making America free again. Making America free again is even more important than making America great again, because if we make America free again, it will become, by default, great again. I promise you. I promise you. Yeah, boy, somebody just said something here. It was really good. We should have an award show for our military, not a bunch of overpaid cowards. What do you think of that Broward Sheriff's Office? Oh my gosh. That's another thing we could talk about. It kind of ties into the Second Amendment, and I'll say it again here. Why talk about banning any kind of gun? Why are we doing that? Why isn't somebody exposing what happened at Las Vegas? And I mean, all of us have been exposing it. I'm talking about President Trump, Sessions. Well, we couldn't depend on the FBI to do it. They're involved. But exposing what really happened at Parkland and at Las Vegas. That is more significant, more important, more overreaching, more important to saving the lives of Americans than whether we should have bump stocks or AR-15s or not. That whole argument. Finding out the truth of what happened there. And I could go down a list of a lot of these things, because most of them have been government instigated in one form or another, in almost every single mass shooting case. There have been exceptions, like 50 years ago, the University of Texas Austin Tower shooting. The guy goes up there with a bolt-action rifle and was shooting people. Do you know what happened on that? A lone security officer, or he could have been a campus police officer, I don't really remember, but he went up there and he shot that rifleman, that sniper. I can see some tactical reasons for being careful about going into the Parkland school. I can see that. I can understand that. But that should have already been trained for. You see what I'm saying? You're going to go into a school with kids in there and an active shooter. You train for that. Okay? So that should have been done. No, this was a cover-up of some sort. And that question mark about the teacher saying, who is this guy in a SWAT uniform shooting people? Even she got nicked. And who are those guys loading up in the back of that pickup truck, that white pickup truck? We pointed that out almost immediately. No, there's some real problems here. Term limits for Congress, Orrin Hatch. Senator Orrin Hatch from Utah. He ran in I think it was 1974. He ran on the principle of term limits. And he's still there. Oh yeah, that's going to work. They'll never do that. We need to force it on them, but how we're going to force it on them, I don't know, because they don't do the bidding of the people. They do the bidding of themselves and their New World Order masters and the IC. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here. We want to endorse Trump over. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we trust the U.S. Border Police Union. Yeah, they endorse Trump. Yeah, the border. I worked when I did my borders documentary. It's called Borders: Mexican Drug Wars or Insurrection. It's on this channel. You can actually type that in and bring it up. I spent a lot of time on the southern border, and I worked with a lot of the Border Patrol down there. And most of them are great people. I'm disappointed when they harass Americans and break their windows and haul them out of their cars when they don't want to submit to their unconstitutional acts. But by and large, the Border Patrol I have a lot of respect for it. I do. Okay, somebody says follow Able Danger. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, shooters in Parkland had military training. Deep State, CIA, FBI. Yep. I agree. It wasn't that one lone student. No way, especially with some of the other things that we know what happened. And the H.O. guy, obviously. I mean, there's now information out there about him. You say his name, though, and you get blipped. So you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, that I wouldn't doubt if there's some MK Ultra at work there, or at least some yeah, you get the idea. Okay, on Gab, if we send our Sarah Sanders Huckabee's press secretary pressers, we need to all pass it around Gab with comments. I think the White House reads those. Good point. Thank you very much. I have a Gab account. As most of you know, it's at Roy P. at capital ROY, capital P. But I don't go there very often. I'm so swamped with so many other things that I just don't check it. And that's very wrong, because I know a lot of people there, are using it, and rightly so. We all should leave Twitter. I agree. It's just that it's kind of hard to balance all of this right now. So at any rate. This is nice. News for All says, Jennifer L., I agree with you. Just expose the evil dudes and then it's over. Then they cannot hide anymore. I can't agree with you guys any more than that. Despite how it's going to upset the Marxist leftists, the social justice warriors, the sleep American people, the hammer just needs to come down. It just needs to come down. Expose them, and then we'll handle the upset afterwards. But we've got to go after them, because the only thing they understand is force, and we're not going to stop them without the hammer dropping, because I guarantee you they're trying to get their power back. And if they get power back, all of us are going to be the people that suffer. So all of you who wanted to wait and allow Sessions to wait and to not do this are going to regret it. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said it really, really well. Do you know what he said? He said that they deserved the camps, the Russian people. They deserved the camps that Lenin and Stalin and all those guys set up, and the executions. Because why? They failed to act. Think about that. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said what they should have done is waited with ice picks and hatchets and shovels and anything they could get and resist. But because they waited, because they didn't act, they deserved what they got. Now, I don't agree with that. All those innocent, decent, wonderful people. But you see his point. And we're going to be the same, okay? If we continue to postpone this, we are going to be the same way. Because they will be relentless. They will be ruthless. They will be cruel. And they like it. No, you're right. We need to hang a few of them right now. Absolutely. Okay, like I said, an hour and 10 minutes. Gosh, guys, you're good to put up with me. This wasn't a great big, revelatory program, but I wanted to do at least one before my going down for at least a week or two, starting on next Monday. This is sore even today. I had a little work done on it, get it prepared just so I could make it another week, because they don't have time. Yesterday they didn't have time to do the work I needed to have done, so they just did a temporary fix, which is kind of helping. But I'm definitely going to have to do the oral surgery next week. So just so you know, that's what's happened. I haven't been renditioned or whatever, or just said I've given up. I'm not doing this anymore. So I'll try to make sure that I'm still around. But you probably I swell bad with oral surgery. When this tooth right here, most of you probably see it. I got that knocked out in a soccer game in high school, and anyway, they fitted the wrong size, or else, whatever. But my whole lip, when they did the root canal, it swelled down to here. I locked myself in my room for like 3 or 4 days because I looked like a chimpanzee. So I doubt that I'll be on camera, because I'm sure I'm going to look like I'm a squirrel with the cheeks full of nuts. Not those nuts. Okay, I heard that. Somebody was saying they're probably going to put no. I'm a dedicated heterosexual, and I can prove it. Okay, I can prove it. All right. Okay, everybody. Hey, thanks for everything you do. I appreciate all your help and the fact that you're here. Make sure you prep, you pray, you stay out of the way, and God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. God bless the Second American Revolution and the restoration of that constitutional republic. And of course, God bless President Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors. Thanks for coming. Don't forget to follow. They've been purging everybody from Jordan Sather to Mike Adams of Natural News. Make sure you follow those folks on their new channels, or if they get reinstated, that you go back. Please follow, yes, Jerome Corsi, Jordan Sather, Isaac Green. I'm not sure what's happened to him, if he's back up yet or not, but I know they were giving him some trouble. Tracy Bean, Scott Anthony, Colonel Anthony Schaefer, and yes, even the ubiquitous, egotistical Alex Jones in InfoWars, okay? You still need the information, all right? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for everything, and I'll see you next time, all right? Out here.